All right, we're going to start the October the 5th, 2021 meeting. We'll have the invocation, then the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilson, then roll call. Please stand. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and ask you to watch over us as we go about our city business. Please watch over our first responders if they're out in the public working every day in the midst of COVID-19, and let's hope that things are starting to wean down and go the other way. Watch out over all of us as we go about our daily activities towards living with this COVID. We ask in your heavenly name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Brinson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here. Okay. I don't have that proclamation, so proclamation for Community Planning Month will be October 2021.
Yeah, the proclamation, we're just going to go ahead and Sherry was going to frame it to give to Planning Department.
Okay, thanks. Okay, staff report.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
All right, consent agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, go to number 9, public hearing. Ocoee Village, Franklin Street preliminary site plan project. Zoning Manager Whitfield.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Mayor.
You'll have to move over to this other one.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to reach everything. Okay. Is this better? All right, thank you. This is a revision to a large-scale preliminary site plan. So the property is approximately 5.57 acres in size, and it's located on the north side of State Road 438 and Franklin Street on the east side of 429. The original preliminary site plan was approved back in June 2017, and this revision proposes to reduce the maximum development program approved at that time. This is an aerial of the site. It's currently vacant. This is the surrounding zoning map. You see it's surrounded by commercial on the east and a part of the north side, industrial on the south side, and some medium busy residential on the north, and State Road 429 on the east. On the west. So as I mentioned, the original approval was done back in 2017, and what was allowed was a mix of uses, commercial, office, and retail, consisting of 4 two-story buildings. The requested revision now is to reduce that development program from the 88,000 square feet by 15,000 square feet to 72,700 square feet. And the change also changes from 4 buildings to two larger buildings. The access is still going to be on Franklin Street, which is controlled by DOT, and based on our review, the site design continues to meet the urban design standards in the 429 overlay. This is a close-up of the original site plan. As you can see, there's 4 buildings. They're 2 stories tall, and the proposed change is 2 larger buildings, also 2 stories tall, 72,000 square feet total, so a reduction of 15.5 square feet, 15.5 thousand square feet. This is a rendering of what the applicants are wanting to do. And then there's another couple of pictures. So this item went to the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing back on September 14th, and at that hearing, some residents had raised some concerns about drainage and vehicular access. These are property owners adjacent on the east side. With respect to drainage, the applicant team clarified that the stormwater runoff would be going to the northwest side of the site, not going towards Bowness Avenue. And the site will also have underground exfiltration to help with runoff. In terms of vehicular access, it's still, the original full access is still there off of Franklin. Its location is as far west as the Expressway Authority would allow. As part of this revision, I believe DOT had asked the applicants to also provide an access on the alleyway. Half the access is on their property, the other half is the alleyway. One concern from a nearby adjacent property owner was whether or not this access would interfere with her site's ability to still receive freight movement. So the applicant team is here, and they had offered at that time at the P&Z hearing to install a flush ribbon curb so that her freight trucks could still have the movement that they are experiencing today. And at the hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimously to approve the revision to the site plan. And with that, staff is also recommending approval of the preliminary large-scale site plan for Ocoee Village, and I believe two members of the applicant team are here if you have any questions for them.
All right, I'm open to the public hearing, and if anybody has any questions for the development people, now's the time. Anybody want to say anything in the audience for that item? All right, close the public hearing, bring it back up to the dais. Anybody have any questions of the?
The world's going to...
You might get my question answered.
I highly doubt that. However, here we go.
Come on up first, let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Anna. My name is Brian Denham with Denham Engineering at 7602 Fiquette Road in Windermere. And we also have Mr. John Parrott here, the owner and developer, to answer any questions that you have for us. Thank you.
Okay. My questions are pretty simple and straightforward. The keys that's to the north of this property, the Periwinkle and the Corral Keys, developments over there, will this development have any impact on those properties? I know you talked about the properties to the east of them. What about the properties to the north?
Sure, yes.
And while you answer, can you also include that I guess that's a retention pond to the west of that? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner Brinson. To answer your question about the development to the north, the residential subdivision to the north of us, what we've done in this new layout is we have increased the buffer from us to them. When I say buffer, I mean the distance from our two-story building to that development. It used to be 61 feet from the property line. Now, in this revised layout, it's 157 feet. So we've increased that. Also, between us and them, instead of mostly parking lot, what we've put between us and them is a nice wet retention pond. So we think we've helped out. The utility connections we're connecting in different areas. The city wants us to loop the connection to help the area, so we're also connecting through there. So we've tried to consider that subdivision in our revisions.
Okay. Now, the buffer that you're speaking to, is that natural buffer? Is that trees? Is that mounds?
We're going to have our standard perimeter buffer that's required. We'll have trees and landscaping and so forth. But the 61 feet was how close our two-story building was to the property line before. Now it's been increased to 157.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I just have a question. I know I've listened to presentations from the Expressway Authority regarding 429, and I'm sorry, but we get so much information that you have to figure where the new lane entrances are going to be. How is that going to affect, or is that going to have any effect on the entrance to the 429 with your building there? Because I don't know, honestly, I don't recall what the Expressway Authority, how they're rerouting some of their entrances there.
Okay, sure, I could try to answer that. In fact, I got stuck in that traffic today, so I understand it well. Yes, interestingly, the wet pond that they did dig not too long ago, they're gonna fill that in and make it look like the left side of the picture on the west of 429. And what they're gonna do is they'll come down and have an intersection there. So basically, they're moving the on-ramp and off-ramp further east, and they're gonna put a light at that, they're gonna move the light as well.
Further east,
Yes, ma'am.
so that's gonna be closer to your building.
Yes, ma'am, it
Okay,
is.
that's-
And then, so what we've done, we were on the conference call with DOT and the developer to the south, talking about placement of that southern development's gonna have their access right at that same intersection. So you can come down to the light and go straight into the development to the south. Or you can turn left to go to the city, and you can do a directional left turn into our site. We sat down with DOT years ago and talked about this future ultimate build-out and this relocation of the entrance. And so they wanted us to put a secondary entrance on the far east of our site. So we had added that last time around. And they told us eventually, we're not gonna have a full access median, but there'll be two directional lefts, a directional left into ours and a directional left to the south. So that's the ultimate build-out. And DOT and 429 Turnpike Authority, is it Turnpike or Expressway? Expressway.
I honestly, I don't know.
That confuses me too.
Whether it's DOT,
429 is there.
Expressway Authority.
We'll call them
I
the
know-
state or something, so.
it's funny, but yeah, no, we-
So they made us adjust for their ultimate future build-out.
And you're going, what they're going to do, I'm sorry, I know we have a point here, and I'm all about using it, but it's okay. They're gonna fill in this retention pond on the east side of the,
Yes, ma'am, I think they'll fill in a certain portion of it and probably have another, it will probably look just like that, so they'll put the pond in the middle of that loop, probably similar to what it's got now.
so, okay. No,
You just-
again, and just an information for the folks that are out there,
Mhm.
that they routinely have presentations that we listen to, that, to tell you what was going on here, and I'm sure they're gonna have more.
Mhm.
but-
Commissioner, you speak into that mic.
Oh,
It's
I'm
hard to
sorry.
hear you anyway. with that.
I'm sorry, okay, take the mask off. DOT, I mean, whoever it is, DOT or the Expressway Authority puts presentations on,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's what I was concerned regarding your entrance, but
Yes, absolutely. They've been looking on our site for a long time on how that affects it, and there's actually a limited access right-of-way strip in front of our property, in front of the western portion that says basically we can't cross that line. So they won't let us move our entrance any further west because they don't want it to jam up what they're trying to do with that new intersection.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to approve the revision to the preliminary site plan.
Motion made by Commissioner First, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Brinson. No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Very much. Thank you. Item number 10, first reading of ordinance for Consonazo LLC, small-scale comprehensive plan unit. Zoning Manager Whitfield.
This is just first reading.
First
I'll
reading.
go ahead and read the title of the small-scale comp plan ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, amending the City of Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991 as amended to change the adopted future land use map designation for certain real property containing approximately 0.29 acres located at 113 West Oakland Avenue from low-density residential to commercial, authorizing the revision of the city comprehensive plan, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Okay, the next meeting,
Actually,
these October the 19th. You gonna read
We have a,
through that?
we have a rezoning
Yeah,
ordinance. for
Rezoning
that,
too.
Right.
I'm sorry?
There's a rezoning ordinance for that also?
Yes, there's.
Let me read that one. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from R1AA to C2 on certain real property containing approximately 0.29 acres located at 113 West Oakland Avenue pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such rezoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Okay, as we were saying, this will be coming back on October the 19th for the second reading. All right, item number 11, first reading of ordinance again, first reading of ordinance for property rights element. HB 59 Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment to create new element project CPA 2021-004.
All right, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the City of Ocoee Comprehensive
Mr.
Plan.
Attorney, I'm sorry. This is a first reading and a public hearing because it's a large-scale text amendment.
Yep, we'll go ahead and read the
Yeah, we gotta read it.
title, then we'll open the public hearing. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the City of Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991 as amended to create a new property rights element in order to enact new goals, objectives, and policies to comply with House Bill 59, which was signed into law on June 29, 2021, and became effective on July 1, 2021, providing for transmittal, authorizing the revision of the city comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Okay, we're going to open the public hearing for any comments on item number 11. First reading of ordinance for property rights element. All right, going to close it, come back to the dais. Anybody else have any comments? Scott?
Wait, this has a second hearing coming up?
You have to vote to transmit it.
Okay, so we're going to vote to transmit it. Okay.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
All right, if no more comments, I have a vote, motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner First. No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, item 12, second reading of ordinances, public hearing. Second reading of ordinance to amend Article 3, Chapter 1 in the Code of Ordinances, creating a fingerprinting fee and adopt a resolution establishing a fee. Police Chief Placenta. Police Chief around?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we are looking to increase the fees for fingerprinting. We do fingerprinting currently in the PD, and we charge our residents $3, and we charge the public $5. That is not recouping the cost of the personnel that are actually providing that services. So we are looking to increase it. We actually went to some other cities to see what they are charging. We found Apopka's charging $22 to their city residents. They're charging $30 to their non-residents. Orange County charges $10 for anyone. Winter Garden will only do it for their city residents or their workers. Claremont charges $5 for ink, $15 for electronic, and live scan by the city of Orlando is $25 per transaction, and ink cards are $15. So we went back and checked the ordinances, and we found there really wasn't an ordinance to establish the fees, so that's when we brought this to the city attorney's office in consultation with the city manager to come up with our established fees. And the fees will be $10 for city residents and $25 for non-Ocoee residents. This is a minimal revenue stream. Last year we brought in $2,500 providing this service, and that was during a COVID year when we were actually closed for a majority of the year.
Good evening.
Yep, let me go ahead and read the title to that ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the City of Ocoee Comprehensive, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending ordinance number 2016-006 by amending section 1-14 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ocoee entitled Record Search Fees, providing for a new subsection, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And then we have a resolution establishing the fee. This is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ocoee relating to the provision of fingerprinting fees, adopting the fee for such fingerprinting services, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. Okay.
All right, we're going to open the public hearing. Anybody comments on the, for fingerprinting fee and a resolution establishing the fee? Anybody have any comments? All right, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. We're going to do two separate motions. First one will be for second reading of ordinance. Anybody have any comments on that?
I have a comment. Okay, this is for the attorney. In that third paragraph, Attorney Cookson.
Yep.
The last two sentences, starting with the proposed amount of the fee, it's $25 to non-Ocoee residents, $10, should that be $25 for non-citizens, non-residents, and $10 for residents? Or does the two make a difference as opposed to four? See what I'm saying?
It's $25 charged to non-Ocoee residents and $10 charged to residents.
Right, but charge is not in there anywhere. It just reads, the proposed amount of the fee is $25 to non, I'm just making sure that that language is proper.
What is,
Are you reading it?
Paragraph 3,
Are you in the resolution or the ordinance?
I'm in
Staff.
the agenda item cover sheet.
I mean, look in the resolution, it says a standard fee to be charged for fingerprinting services provided to non-residents of the city of Ocoee shall be established at a rate of $25.
Okay,
The standard fee to be charged for fingerprinting services provided to residents of the city of Ocoee shall be established at a rate of $10. So I think it's pretty clear in here.
okay, that's all I have, thank you.
all right, anybody else? If not, I need a motion on the first one, second reading.
I thought, did we get a motion?
You got a motion? I'll second the motion.
Did someone already make the motion?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'll make it. Fine.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson for second reading of ordinance. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? If not, let's vote on that one. That carries unanimously. Now I need the motion on resolution establishing a fee.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. No more comments? Let's vote.
Hold on.
Oh,
Let's, in an abundance of caution, let's open the resolution up to
Oh.
public
You gonna
hearing.
we did, but no, but, all right, we'll open the public hearing for a resolution of establishing a fee. We're going to close it and bring it back to the dais. All right. We'll
I'll be
finish.
happy to make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
No, I
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson.
I'll second it.
No more comments. Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, number 13, second reading of ordinance to repeal Chapter 15 of the Code of Ordinances and adopt a resolution to reestablish the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. You need to say anything there, City Clerk?
Only if anyone has any questions.
Anybody got any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Let me
Wait a minute,
read,
we got to read.
let me read the,
You got to read it here.
I make a motion to waive the reading.
we do. So this is, you guys are moving too fast tonight. I'm not used to the speed.
Too long a meeting last time.
Pretty cut and dry.
All right, this is, what are we on, 13?
That's 13.
All right, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, repealing Chapter 15 in its entirety of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ocoee, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date. And the resolution is a resolution of the City of Ocoee, Florida, to reestablish the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing for the second reading of the ordinance, but we do not have to have a public hearing for a resolution. So, anybody want to make any comments for the second reading of the ordinance? Nobody does. We'll close it, come back. Commissioner Oliver, you making the motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make that motion now.
Commissioner Oliver makes the motion for the second reading of the ordinance. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fershman. No more comments? Let's vote on that. That carries unanimously. Now we can have a motion for the resolution.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson for the resolution. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Can I just say something, Mayor?
Go ahead.
This is just a cleanup. This is just a cleanup. It really doesn't affect the board, just so everyone understands that.
Okay. All right, item number 14. Second reading of ordinance for Starbucks Ocoee, substantial amendment to the approved PUD for Fountains West PUD, project number RZ 21-07-26. Zoning manager Whitfield.
Hi, good evening. So this is a substantial amendment to Lot 3 of the Fountains West PUD to allow for a drive-through restaurant. So the Fountains West PUD is approximately 43 acres, and it's this yellow highlighted area. Lot 3 is the part that's highlighted in black. It's approximately 1.26 acres on the west side of Ocoee Apopka Road, the north side of West Road. The proposed zoning change is to change a use that's allowed in the PUD. That's why it's a substantial change. This arrow shows the site is currently developed with a bank that is no longer in operation. This is the surrounding future land use map and the surrounding zoning map. This slide shows the previous land use plan, and as you can see, there were several lots. It was originally approved in 2006 to allow drive-in restaurants in lots 3 through 7. So that would be this one. I don't know if you all can see my mouse. This one where the bank is at, this large one where the Publix is at, these two on the far east side, and then the number 7 is on the south side of this new alignment. Subsequent to, so when the PD was approved, it allowed for drive-through, but then when the commission at that time was discussing the development agreement, they had voted to amend the agreement to prohibit a drive-in restaurant for Lot 3, which is this one here. Subsequent to that, a McDonald's came in and asked for a drive-through, a double drive-through, conventional type of McDonald's for Lot 2, which is right here on the north side of this driveway entrance. And that McDonald's application was subsequently denied because of the location of the drive-through. And there are residents here that might be disturbed by that more intense use. So the McDonald's was denied. The next two slides shows meeting minutes from the 2006 hearing, where the minutes reflects that the conversation was about drive-through restaurants, not drive-in restaurants. It's hard to see, but the conversation is there. And then this is one of the tables from the development agreement, which specifically prohibits, as a footnote, the prohibition on drive-in restaurants for Lot 3 specifically. So the current applicant representing Starbucks Coffee is now proposing or requesting that the city change the land use, the list of land uses for Lot 3 to allow a drive-through restaurant, specifically Starbucks for Lot 3. This item went to the Planning and Zoning Commission on September 14th, and at that hearing, the questions were asked about whether or not this will be new construction or utilizing the existing building. This will be a new construction. The bank will be demolished. The applicant explained that this is Starbucks' full double drive-through prototype, and they're requesting the double drive-through so that it would reduce the amount of stacking of vehicles waiting to enter the site, so helping to minimize the internal circulation. After the discussion, the Planning and Zoning Commission had voted to recommend approval, subject to a condition that this approval for the substantial amendment would only apply to the Starbucks as a user, and if the Starbucks were to not proceed through permitting and issuance, then the use will revert back to not allowing drive-through restaurants for Lot 3, and any new applicant would have to come back through the process as Starbucks has. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the substantial amendment to Lot 3 to allow for a drive-through restaurant with the condition that it is only for the Starbucks and any other user would have to come back through. And I don't think the Bob Ziekenfuss is here representing Starbucks.
All right, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, approving a substantial amendment to the allowable uses for the Fountains West PUD for certain real property comprising approximately 1.26 acres located on the northeast corner of Ocoee-Popka Road pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner, amending the list of approved uses to include restaurant with drive-through on Lot 3, finding consistency with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anybody have any comments for this issue? You can step up to the podium there, sir.
I'll make it quick. Bob Ziegenfuss, Z Development Services, civil engineer for the project, here representing the property and developer for Starbucks, and just here to answer any questions you might have.
All right, anybody got any questions before we? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais. Any comments from the commissioners anymore? I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Brinson.
That's motion per staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? All right, let's vote. Coffee on the north side. Go. Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Regular agenda, none comments from citizens. I got some here. So we'll start with Tim Ocoee. Hey, can we bring the police chief out? Because you're going to talk about traffic, right?
Yes, sir.
Can we have the police chief come out?
Is it okay to pull this down while I speak?
Yeah. I think she's here, so just give us a minute.
Yes, sir.
There she comes. I think we're gonna be talking about traffic, so, all right. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for your time tonight, I really appreciate it. So over the past couple of months, I've been working with Commissioner Oliver, bringing some concerns with traffic up to him all along Hackney Prairie Road. I've came to you guys over the past several years with issues there. Things have gotten a little worse, especially with the way traffic backs up now on Clark, being that you have Hackney Prairie to cut through from Clark Road all the way to Apopka Vineland. Traffic has gotten excessively bad there, to the point that we're having speeders, we're having dirt bikes, ATVs racing up and down the highway. Back around mid-September, I called Ocoee PD because we had a dirt bike, an ATV that was racing down Hackney Prairie. And then we also had the people that were in the park that were there egging them on, as well as racing their cars up and down the street. Ocoee PD comes out, the kids look at us and say, well, call the cops. What are they gonna do? They didn't do nothing to us. Ocoee PD pulls up, the officer doesn't get out of his car, speaks to the guy on the ATV in the middle of the street for less than 30 seconds, drives off. Less than 5 minutes later, two of the cars that were racing T-boned each other at the intersection of Remington Oaks and Hackney Prairie Road. Now, as you watch on the video, which I can send to you guys, I believe Commissioner Oliver has it, the moment they T-bone, you see the ATV rider fly through the intersection as well. So I'm asking that the city do something to help mitigate the traffic on there. You have a city park, and you also have a elementary school all within a quarter-mile stretch of each other. Being the Remington Oaks HOA president, I get calls daily from the crossing guards there asking me to pull video footage because of people blowing through that stop sign at high rates of speed while they're working and while kids are crossing. So I'm just asking that the city help do something to be a little proactive in stopping an accident from happening before we do have a fatality there. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Well, I think the comments, you can wait just a second, well, Chief.
So we will conduct some enforcement, and we do have ongoing enforcement on that road. Last month alone, we wrote 288 traffic citations, not on Hackney Prairie, but throughout the city, and 146 written warnings. I'm sorry?
Last month.
Last month.
Last month.
So that was last month, the total for the month of September that was written. Traffic is continuing to be one of our #1 concerns. It's not just Hackney Prairie, it's Orlando, and we are out there writing tickets continually and trying to do education and enforcement. And we also talk with our Public Works partner to look at engineering. I've had a conversation with Steve Krug about that road today, whether there would be some kind of traffic calming that could be put out there as well.
Can I ask you a question? Is there not a way to have a traffic unit that will cover for speeding every day for a while? Because one of the reasons is you can go to Worst Road and watch them you sit in a restaurant and watch them coming by doing 70 miles an hour, just like on Hackney Prairie, or White Road. I was at a gentleman's house last night, and people were flying by there, and he said the same thing. I know we might have a shortage, I don't think we have a shortage of police officers, but we need to have a unit that does that, and goes around and sits all day long around places until we can get this calmed down. Because I don't think there's gonna be any other way.
So we do have that unit in the police
Well,
department. We have a
I
traffic
haven't seen
unit.
anybody writing tickets on Worst Road, police chief, so I'm just
I
telling
will
you.
go back and make sure, and I'd like
Yeah.
to know the date
I
of
sit
the
there and
video
watch
as
it
well.
while I'm having lunch with the
Right.
police officers, so, you know, I'm just saying it's the same thing. People, for some reason, I don't know what's going on, maybe because they were out of service for a year and a half in COVID, they think it's time to get out and do that. But it's dangerous, they're speeding, they're cutting in and out of traffic. They'll go around you on White Road without even using the double lines, and they're going around you.
I did pull a report on Hackney
Okay.
Prairie, and the average
I
speed
think-
of that road is about
Well,
35, a little bit over 35 is
Maybe
what
you
most of
can
the speeders are going.
get with Mr. Curry and give him a card or something and see if we can do some more, little more. And I don't know, why would you not give them a ticket when they're out there on that? Because they didn't see them, or because they,
So a lot of things that go into an ATV, I don't know the specifics other than what he said, but ATVs typically will run from a police officer, and we do not pursue those ATVs
Yeah.
if we can't stop them. It also falls back to parents being responsible for what their kids are doing out there, the ages of the people that are participating. The number one thing we don't want to do is cause another accident with somebody who's fleeing from us or doing some type of dangerous action.
well, it seems like after that call that they had an accident anyway, so.
Yeah, that was
you know.
September, right? Yeah.
All right,
I'll
so.
take care of it.
Yeah, I think she'll give you the phone call. I know it's aggravating, but we have that all over town,
Yes.
Mr. Curry, I tell you.
I have a question. You mentioned how many tickets that was written. How many was written on Hackney Prairie in the past month?
Sir, I just pulled a quick query, so I don't have a breakdown of where those tickets were written. I just have they
Just
were
send
all
them.
in the city.
That's citywide?
Citywide.
Okay.
Citywide, and then the verbal warnings that were written as well.
Is that warning tickets or tickets?
Citations, 288, and 146 written warnings. That isn't a verbal warning that an officer might stop you and say, don't do it again and move on. We don't record those. But if they give them a written warning or they
Yeah.
give them a citation, we do capture that.
So if you had the time, would you be able to pull up the numbers as to where those tickets was written? So is that, can I get that information maybe later?
Yes,
Send it
I
to all
can
of
give
us.
that to you. And I pulled, the report I mentioned was we have the smart radar signs out there. And the smart radar signs actually will tell us what the speeds are. So the people, in this report, the people complying with the speed limit was 20, the average was 21. 41 of them were going 9 miles above the speed limit. 16 were in the over 10 miles of the speed limit. And then they had one violator, an average of one, that was 20 miles or over the speed limit. So these
Yeah.
traffic signs actually give us a great insight into the roadway, because when we show up, what happens is people slow down.
Right.
But these traffic signs actually give us the insight and show us where to target what's going on. And a lot of times somebody will say, hey, there's a big speeding problem on the road. We put one of these signs up, we can actually say there isn't a huge problem there. There may be a speeder here or there,
Well-
but not a huge problem.
What happened to the sign that used to take the picture of the tag at the same time as telling you the speed is going?
We don't have that capability with our
We used to
radar
have one that
trailers.
come into town on Silver Star Road.
LPR, I think.
We have the
Mary referred-
LPRs and we
What
have the
happened to
red
that?
light cameras.
Because that'll read the tag.
Right.
If you're speeding, you're coming through that area, that reads the tag.
Can you give a ticket?
But you don't have
No.
them together.
But-
You have to have
but
a
you can't
machine
give
that
You
has
got a
them
ticket
together.
with that.
No, but I'm saying, you can see, we got, there's some way you gotta come up with,
Well,
I mean, it's not just there, it's everywhere.
Mayor, I'll talk with the chief.
right.
We've been having a lot of issues with traffic lately, apparently on 4 or 5 of our major roads, and maybe we'll come up with an
Yeah.
operational plan. We hit it really hard for a month on these 4 or 5 major roads. I think maybe that is what we need to do in order for people to see that, we're going to be out there and they need to slow down a little. We've been talking about this, myself and the chief. We've been getting a lot of complaints, and we'll hit one area and then hit another area, and as soon as we leave, it starts again. But if we hit it really hard for for a month or so and come up with an operational plan.
Kissimmee's another one.
I think that's one way we can start to deal with this.
They think that's a racetrack.
Well, I have a question. Because this is a problem that's, we're experiencing here. I guess my question is, what are we doing as far as community policing to get those parents and those adults over there? Because I don't know if it's just juveniles who are doing this, racing up and down the street on dirt bikes and quads, or if it's adults as well. But, this is more than just, I don't think we can ticket our way out of this problem.
Right.
Because they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
That's
So
the education
we need
piece of the
we
campaign.
need a campaign
Yep.
to inform them, especially, I'm sorry, I forget your name. But if an officer addressed some motorists, whether they're ATVs or dirt bikes, and then right after that, they get into a traffic accident, that's problematic. Because they've been talked to already. But, who's responsible? And it may be a situation where if there are underage children doing this, and obviously you can't chase them down in a dirt bike, but we have to find out where they live. Hackney Prairie being as cut through that it is what it is. How do we mitigate that problem? And I think part of a way of mitigating that is community policing. And we may have to get out there and not just be a deterrent by being present, but actually get out there knocking on doors saying, look, we need a community meeting on this street, and we need to let people know who they are, where they live, and start confiscating their personal properties because they're being a nuisance to the public. This is a public safety issue, and we've got to address that as that. Tickets and doing it for 30 days at a pop, that's great. What's gonna happen on the 32nd day? They're gonna be back at it. So we've got to address this a little differently because this is a problem that, yeah, they got T-boned, but what if it was a child running out there trying to chase after a ball that went into the street? We cannot allow this to continue without doing whatever we can, because obviously problems are going to exist no matter what. There's no perfect world, no perfect solution, but we got to be able to do something about this. So I don't know if you have that capability over in the department to walk the streets and
We do.
the neighborhoods and say, hey, we need to, and then what times of the day is it? Is it after school school hours, or is it on the weekends? Is it early Sunday morning? We have to have a bigger presence there. And maybe it is a conversation with the people that's having it and drive home that point that you cannot continue to do this, and then show them that, when I was coming up, we had this movie we had to watch when we went to Driver's Improvement called Red Asphalt. And I don't know if anyone has seen Red Asphalt, but it's a gruesome movie that teaches you what happens in traffic accidents, motorcycle accidents. Maybe that's something we have to do. But I don't think we can't ticket our way out of this, because if we could, we would have stopped it already. So community policing, I think, and community involvement is something that's going to be a clear way to a better success in getting those parents. And I know everyone's busy, and having a consortium of parents coming together and educating everybody. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I would say tickets might not get it out of it. It'll sure make the parents pay attention if they're teenagers. I know mine did when I got one. They had to pay. So, but I want to tell you, I got your email this morning. I was going to write you back, but Benji here, I don't have to do that now. So I did get it. So thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Well, you know what, Chief, I know you didn't mention it, but to Commissioner Brinson's point, they actually do walk the streets. They do knock on doors. I've actually done that with them, as they knocked on my door and was able to walk around the neighborhoods with them. So, I'm sorry? But they actually do that. I know you didn't mention that,
We do.
Chief,
When
but
we
that
do
is something
Chief's
that they
Night
do
Out, we
quite
talk
often.
about what
And
is
that could be a
problems in
part
your
of their
neighborhood, what can we
conversation.
do to help your neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Curry. Thank you. Melissa Myers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Myers. I come before the commission as a citizen of Ocoee with great concerns for the traffic on Hackney Perry. I'm very concerned with the blatant disrespect and disregard for our traffic laws as it's putting our citizens in danger. Now, like Tim mentioned, we have Prairie Lake Elementary School, we have Prairie Lake Park less than a mile away. We have children playing, and that's where families come together. Now, I can't wrap my mind around why this is an issue, why we aren't looking to find a permanent decision. Now, I know there's an idea for a traffic officer, but if a bigger emergency happens, that officer will be taken away from that area, right? So in the last commission meeting, Mayor Johnson so eloquently put it, you know, we have home rule, okay? Meaning that our elected officials in the city of Ocoee have the power to override a law or ordinance with the FDOT when it comes down to speed bumps. So this rule should be used as the safety of our citizens are put at jeopardy. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess speed bumps wouldn't be a bad thing there, but I don't know, is that a main road that you can't put them on, or
It's
is
a
it?
throughput, it's a through road.
Through road, I mean-
FDOT think that we can't, but,
Yeah, it's a collector. So what happens if you did something like put speed, it would slow the traffic down, but the ones that are going to continue to do 50 miles an hour, hit it, end up hitting a tree and
Yeah.
killing themselves, then that's where we come in and end up with a liability suit on us.
All right, Jim Moore?
Jim Moyer, Arden Park North. I just, in regard to the countywide ban on the sale of dogs, I wanted to very quickly put in the record that according to the Orlando Sentinel, the county commissioner that cast the deciding vote had originally passed because they were unsure. So I think it's fair to say that decision could have gone either way. Now, an update on the possible Ocoee Pearl Harbor Day on December 7th. I've been in contact with the recruiting offices here in Ocoee 2 Saturdays ago. I was at the American Legion in Winter Garden when they were having an event cleaning up the highway. They're willing to support it. The Ocoee Navy Sea cadets were there. They're willing to support it. They have a Pearl Harbor event, but if an event happens here, they're willing to relocate. They're willing to bring the Sea Cadet Color Guard here if they're so requested to do so. I met with the VFW commander last Tuesday to see whether or not they would be interested in taking the lead on such an event. We had a very nice conversation. The bottom line is he wanted to meet with the mayor, and it's my understanding sometime this week that potentially will be scheduled. His only comment was he does have a few World War II veterans that if an event does take place and they're up to it for health reasons, they're up to it, he'd like to see them attend. I also had a long conversation with the American Legion here in Ocoee, and they have a meeting next Tuesday, which I plan on attending. I'll bring this up and several other matters. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless all of you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to set up a meeting to meet with him, so, thank you. And every time you write your name, I cannot read it, so if, I cannot pronounce it. I cannot, is it Norma? Huh?
No, I'm sorry.
I cannot read your name. I'm sorry about that, but I cannot read your name.
That's okay, Mr. Mayor. I will print it for you next time.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so,
My name is Noreen Dworkin. I'm with Vox Populi. For people who are not familiar, Vox Populi is an online news site. We cover politics, government, and social justice issues. We started publishing in January. So I am still in pursuit of questions about COVID pay. And as I was told to do, I submitted a public records request, and I still have questions. So I would like to know, prior to September 30th, if an employee was told to stay home from work because they had COVID symptoms, and they were told to stay home from work by a doctor, the city doctor, and they had a negative COVID test, will they be reimbursed for that time off from work? And I have not been able to get any kind of response from the city manager. So I'm asking for a response. The city manager tells me to speak to HR, and HR tells me to speak to the city manager. So I would like to know, I'm still speaking, sir. It is still my
I didn't
3
say a
minutes.
word.
You look like
Please,
you were
can,
getting it.
Just
okay, if I look, I'm sorry, I looked
Finish
like.
your comments, and then I'm gonna let him speak.
Yes, I would love if he would speak, because I cannot get him to answer my question. So I would like to know, if an employee has a negative COVID test and they have not used the 80 hours that the city promised, and it is before September 30th, and they have not used their 80 hours, will the city reimburse for that time that the city doctor has mandated that they have to be out of work? I still have some time, but I will take an answer.
All right, you want to answer anything, or you have any comments, Rob?
Did you want me to answer that, Mayor? Yes. And I will also add, Mayor, she says she's a reporter, she requests public documents, we supply the public documents to her, and then she expects us to sit down and explain the documents to her, and we're not going to do that. She's asked me a couple of times, I said you can get the documents from Human Resources, they've been provided, okay? I don't know what else you need, you just need to read the documents. Everything I just told you is very clear in the documents.
That is not exactly true. Sometimes
That-
documents
ma'am.
require
Thank you.
additional comment and explanation.
Let him finish. When he's through, you have a few minutes. Not a few minutes, you might have a few seconds.
So we've complied with the law, Mayor, and she comes in and she
Yeah.
says she wants the documents under Chapter 119. We give her the documents, and then she thinks she can compel us to an interrogation, but that's just not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
The last time we gave you documents on an article about you requested personnel documents, we gave you everything we had in addition to other documents that we received from another city, which were part of the file, and by law we had to provide them to you. You wrote an article making us look bad because we gave you everything we had and everything we legally needed to give you. And you made us look like we were doing something wrong by complying with the law. So it's obvious you want to make the city look foolish in everything you do, so we'll provide you with the documents, and you can take it from there.
Mr. Frank, did you just say that those files from the city of Kissimmee are part of Alan Savoy's personnel file?
We're not getting into.
No, I didn't say
employees.
that.
Wait,
I think that's what
We're
you
not-
said.
Ma'am,
Thank you
The
very
point is, we
much.
provide you
I
with
appreciate
documents,
that.
and then you go ahead and you
Thank you.
make up stories about us providing documents to
ma'am,
you.
don't go off talking from the podium. That's it. Okay, all right. All right. I do remember us telling you to get the stuff from the person, from the city clerk's office. All right, okay. Then you got the information.
We always comply with the public records law when she requests them, Mayor. I
know.
don't know what more I can say.
All right. Now, that was all for comments from the city. Anybody else in the citizens have any comments before I close that? Not, that's good. We'll move it over to, we'll start with Commissioner, tonight with Commissioner Firster.
I don't have any comments.
All right, buddy. That's you get a red star. Commissioner Wilson.
I guess I was going to talk about the traffic, but I think we've really
Yep.
already discussed that. I will say one thing to the commissioners and to our residents, that in the budget, we're given $10,000 as commissioners to do things that we find appropriate. And last year, I did purchase 2 of those radar signs. And I'm in the process, asked the chief tonight to get another one, because I do believe if you see them, as you noticed, that the chief talked about the analytics that she gets. When you see those signs, there's one in the front of the Ocoee Middle School. That was not purchased by me. I have one on White Road, and they can be moved around. But they do give statistics to tell us when folks are speeding. And I find them myself, I travel Orlando Avenue every day, that I find that when that thing is flashing, it kind of wakes you up. And you see it's flashing and it says you're going 33 when you're supposed to be going 30. So again, I'm hoping that we'll have a few more with that around District 2 at least, as a suggestion to other districts, because I think they do alert folks. And I don't know what we're going to do. If tickets aren't working, if it's costing you $100 and you're not going to curb your speed, you know, the last thing I want to see is a person hit, a child hit, a person hit, a car accident. You passed me on Orlando Avenue flying, you know, and I meet you at the stoplight. Well, you know, if a cop stops you, you're going to be a half an hour late for work. And you're going to be really annoyed when you've got that $150 ticket. So, or whatever the cost is. I haven't had a ticket in a long time. On Orlando Avenue about 25 years ago. But, not quite 25, but yes, but the aspect is that we don't want you late for work. We don't want you paying us $100. I don't want to see your money. I want you to conform and not cause a problem on the streets that we have. I've got some very tough streets. I mean, Orlando Avenue is one of them, White Road, Ocoee Hills Road, Flewelling. If you've been on Flewelling, people are just flying down that. And that's purely a residential street. Children are out there, folks are out there. So please, I mean, I don't know what we can do to tell you. I don't want your money, I want you to slow down. So, but a suggestion is maybe some other commissioners want to buy those signs because they're great, I think. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Oliver.
Before we start the clock, I actually have a discussion before we start the clock. I have to get dialogue for the rest of the commissioners. So I have I just need to get some clarification on a couple things. So we have this 10-minute limit as we speak up here to dialogue about whatever we need to dialogue about as your commissioner. I just need to get some clarification as to when the clock starts, when it stops, those kind of things. We meet twice a month. And as we meet twice a month, this is my opportunity to have dialogue with the other commissioners. So I don't see why that any one of us should be limited to 10 minutes or even a clock starting and eating up the 10 minutes while we're having dialogue with other commissioners and the mayor, which we don't have that luxury of doing so outside of these meetings without violating sunshine laws. So my clarification is that are we stopping the clock as we engage staff and the rest of the commission in dialogue, and then the clock starts as we continue with our monologue or dialogue or whatever we want to call it? What's the standard on that? How are we doing that? 'Cause I don't think we ever really discussed how that would work.
Commissioner, let me make a comment on that real quick. I think the idea was if you have an item that you want to discuss with the city commission, it ought to be on the agenda, and you ought to meet with the city manager, put it on the agenda. Then it's an agenda item. We talk all we want on it. The idea for commissioner announcements was just to make announcements, not to bring up items to discuss. If you've got an item to bring up to discuss, that really should be on the agenda and not brought up as part of the kind of your announcements. This is the way I thought we were doing it.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. Well, and it hasn't happened that way since we started, because again, as we're responding to the citizens, there's comments about Hackney Prairie, and again, at that point, I may need some discussion up here to determine what my view is going to be. I may want to hear from Commissioner Wilson or the mayor or Commissioner Firstman or Commissioner Brinson. I may want to hear from them. So why is my timing ate up and my valuable timing ate up while I'm trying to get information from the rest of the commission That's what I'm saying. So it sounds good when you present it that way, but the problem is that we often get in discussions and time is being ate up, so why should I have to let 10 minutes go by and then have to wait on the mayor to give me another 2 or 3 minutes to finish with other things? I think, again, as I stated before, that's a slippery slope. When you start limiting this commission to time limits to handle your business as citizens, that's a very slippery slope. And I don't think that's a slope, I don't think that's what we want to go down. We don't want to go down that road. The problem I have with that is that by it being a slippery slope, I think I'm doing an injustice to the citizens if I have to cut off what I'm saying. And as far as waiting to the end of the meeting and then having another meeting, I mean, we publicize it, and that's fine. You cover yourself by law. But again, I still think that's another slippery slope. As I spoke to the Ethics Commission in Tallahassee, they don't recommend we do this, but we're still doing it. So again, I for that reason,
All right.
I'm having a hard time following that system.
All right, before you start on your 10 minutes, I called Ethics Office in Tallahassee also. That's not what they told me. What we did was what they said we could do. Also, when you start talking, and if one of us or somebody wants to talk about it, we'll stop the clock. That's what we voted for. You said vote on it, we voted on it. And that's what we're gonna do. Not because you can talk during the meeting at any time you want to with any commissioners and bring up, that's what we all do. We all discuss things tonight. So it's just not a slippery slope, because I also called the Ethics Office in Tallahassee, and they said what we did was through the city lawyer, and it was legal. So now you get 10 minutes.
But I'm not saying it was illegal.
But we will stop the clock, sir.
Well,
If somebody wants to ask questions while you're doing your 10 minutes.
Let me respond quickly. I'm not being condescending here. I'm only stating that what you just stated, you just clarified what I was asking.
No.
No, you just clarified. Mayor, listen to what I'm saying. You just clarified what I'm asking. What I was asking was, the procedure would be, if we're dialoguing up here amongst each other, then that clock stops. And you just said that.
I said I would
it's okay.
stop. I said I would.
Okay, and that's fine. And that's what I was getting at. That's all I was asking. But you're just not listening to what I'm saying. You're
Yeah, I am.
too busy trying to go ahead of what I'm saying. But yeah, you answered. So now we're in agreement. We agree with one another. Now,
No, we
the rest
don't.
of the commission, is that what you heard? Or did I hear something different?
I'm not talking to you. I'm just listening. You got the floor. You got the floor. Keep talking.
Did anybody want to comment on that, or are we on the same page that if we're dialoguing with one another, should that clock continue, or should it just stop and then we move on?
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I think and then we've always done it. When I'm talking and something, and other members of the commission want to weigh in, then we weigh in, and then the mayor oftentimes will give me additional time.
Yeah.
Because the dialogue amongst the commission members has happened. So I think we're all on the same sheet.
Same thing. We'll give you, if it comes to that, I'll give you the extra time.
Technically, since you're not starting it yet, technically, we said as a commission that when someone gets up to speak for 3 minutes, we do not interrupt them and we don't talk about the issue. We wait until our comment
That's right.
time to make comments, because then you start this dialogue back and forth. And we had, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we decided, and I know we break that rule all the time, but we were supposed to allow this person 3 minutes uninterrupted, no conversing with them. This is their chance, their time to speak. And then during our comments, we can then make, if we have concerns, what they're saying. So when, I just used Tim who spoke, we really technically should not have been talking, we should wait until it was all done. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but yet we did agree 10 minutes uninterrupted that you can have, every one of us can speak. Now, I don't use 10 minutes,
Nope.
so, but that's my choice. And then at the end of the meeting, we were given the chance, if you'd like to, talk to your residents. You have 10 minutes to speak after we have closed the meeting, that you can have uninterrupted 10 minutes to be on the camera and just make general announcements to your residents. That was what we decided, and the attorney agreed that we could do that. So I have no problem with the 10 minutes, because
Okay.
I'll leave it there.
All right.
Thank you.
Now we're starting your 10 minutes.
All right, so now we can start at 10 minutes. Now comes my comments. As I've always stated in the past, that if citizens want to get involved in what goes on in the city, a great way to do that is actually looking at our advisory boards, joining an advisory board, seeing what they do, see if it's a good fit for you. If it is a good fit for you, then join that board. Come back and actually be a part of the growth of the city. Be a part of making decisions as to what direction we're going as a city. With that being said, we also have several boards that have openings. Our fire department advisory board has 6 openings. Our police department advisory board has 5 openings. The code enforcement board has 1 alternative seat opening. The General Employee Retirement Fund has 1 opening. The Human Relations and Diversity Board has 2 openings. Parks and Recreation Board also has 2 openings. And the OIC is still taking applications as we are encroaching upon a waiting list, but we're still taking applications. So that's a great way to get involved in what goes on in the city. Also, we talked about the traffic issues that we're having on Hackney Prairie Road, and there's been quite a bit of discussion about traffic and slowing down. I think that we can always talk about it, but sometimes when you see it, you get more of an impact on what you see in the video. So I did bring a video tonight that I want you to kind of take a look at the issue that we're having on Hackney Prairie Road, as we have a school there and we have a park right across the street, as folks are racing up and down the street, and just give you a pretty good idea of what we're talking about. So you see right there, the drag racing. This happened less than like a week ago, and he's playing it in a loop. Do you have the actual report, the actual TV report that I sent to you as well? The second one? You don't have that one? Okay. Well, not a problem. That's fine. But as you'll see there, this is what's getting recorded every single day on that road. That's an SUV, an off-road vehicle, and a dirt bike. And this is what Mr. Ocoee was talking about. And this is something that he records all the time. And then they're racing toward an intersection where kids cross the road. There's a park across the street. There's a school less than a mile up the road. And one of the things that I've often asked about was speed tables on that road to slow folks down. And as you heard the city manager state that road has a certain designation that doesn't allow for speed tables. But then Ms. Myers talked about speed tables and home rule. I think the mayor mentioned it as well at our last meeting. We have home rule. We actually have the ability to, if it's our road, it's our street, it's our children, it's our park, it's our school. And we actually have money left over from our last budget cycle that we were able to put in a contingency, to place in our budget, that we could actually put 3 speed tables along that road. And I guarantee you speed tables would actually slow them down. They couldn't do that with speed tables on the road. And this happens all the time. The next meeting, I'll show the other video. I'll make sure you see the other video just to kind of bring the point home. But nonetheless, I believe that putting speed tables on this road here would actually slow folks down, and it could actually possibly save lives, especially as kids are going into that park or they're walking to school. They're doing this all times of day and night. So this happened to be late in the evening. But what I would like to do is find out what we can do to put a speed table on that road. What would it take for us to slow folks down along this road? Because this is a problem we've been having for a very long time. Or do we have to wait on a kid to get hit? Do we have to wait on somebody to be hurt? Or do we have to wait on someone to die on the road? Do we have to wait on a car to flip? Do we have to wait on someone to be in the park just minding their business and get hit by a car that loses control? What do we have to wait on in order for us to address this problem? We have the money to do it. It's just a matter of this commission saying, let's look into doing this. So again, I come back to the commission. Now we can stop the clock, because I actually want to talk to the commission about this. And this is why I asked that in the first place.
Well,
Stop the
clock. One of the reasons we should have done
I'm sorry,
that.
are we speaking from the public, or are we on the diocese now?
Well, let me say something real quick. I stopped the clock. one of the things, that's what you should have brought up earlier during the meeting and said in your comments, you know, that you want to put some stops out there. We could brought that up then. I mean, you got to put them there, you got to put them on Ocoee, Orland Avenue. It's not just there, it's all the streets, West Road.
I understand that.
Okay, so that, something needs, we've already discussed that. We all discussed it during
We
the budget.
haven't discussed that yet.
Yeah, we have. We talked about it during the budget process.
We're discussing this road now. We've not discussed Hackney
I'm
Perry.
not, we're not, we're gonna let you finish your time, 5 minutes and 21 seconds.
So the question is, how do we go about putting tables on Hackney Perry Road? The public can't answer that question right now. This diocese is the only one that can answer that question.
That would be a Steve Krug question, because I also understand there's is it called a GRAB? Is it called a Green Book that has specifications regarding what you can put on
Yes.
certain roads?
Yes.
And so that would be a Steve Krug question, I believe. So,
So it sounds like Steve, we need Steve, right?
but I think that's something Steve would have to research on
But
those streets and see if it's
City
something.
manager can ask Steve Krug.
Well, can we give the consensus?
Yeah, these are
to
questions
start-
that if we discuss this beforehand, we could do some research on this, but this is not a decision we want to make
No,
here
no,
tonight.
We can't make
or
the
anything like
decision,
that.
but I'm saying, what
Right.
do we need to do to start the?
We would have to do some
wheels
research.
moving To start looking at putting speed tables on this road?
Yeah, and I can tell you from Green Book standards, on arterials, collectors, anything besides a local street, there's a significant liability attached to that. You just saw that the four-wheeler and the motorcycle. If we put those in and that was the first time and they're doing 60 miles an hour down the road and they hit those things because they're not expecting to see those on that type of road, and they veer off and hit a
There's
tree.
usually
And
signs say raised road. There's usually signs that we put there
I
before you get to a
understand.
speed.
I think, maybe the city attorney could do some research also on how these cases have gone in the past where cities have gone and done some of this. Because, we have good reserves. We don't, we don't really reserve for legal settlements either. So, I mean, I understand the
We have
point. We
speed
could
tables
look
on
at it a
roads
couple
now.
of different ways. We could look at it as to the legality of doing that and how that, either agrees or disagrees with Green Book standards, and maybe look at some cities where there have been these types of incidents before and what case law shows us.
Well, sometimes the certain standards that we go by are not the conventional wisdom of putting these things down to save lives. So now, we have roads with speed bumps on them right now with houses facing them. So what happens when the car continues to go 50, 60 miles an hour and runs into a house? Same liability, same situation, same issue.
Yeah, we don't have any speed
Let-
humps or
look,
tables
let
on
me
anything
make a
but
statement.
local streets
We're
in the
gonna
city.
take and
On
bring it
Montgomery,
back.
you actually have speed tables, there's houses facing that.
Those
That's what I'm saying.
are county, unfortunately, yes.
All right, here's what we'll do. We'll put it on the agenda next meeting to discuss speed bumps in all the areas of traffic areas that we can do and have Steve Krug here.
Yeah, you can do that. I just think,
There's
Commissioner,
other places too.
on Montgomery, I think actually that was when the county did that before that road went all the way through too. I don't think really that would qualify right now, but I think when they put them in, I don't think that road went all the way
Can you put Steve here
through.
at the next meeting?
Well,
Yeah.
I say we use home rule to do what we need to do.
Oh.
That's my 2 cents on that. We can bring it back. We can bring it back.
That's not home,
That's not really the home rule
That's
part.
not home rule,
All right,
because if there's
we're getting
liability
off,
issues.
we're getting
yeah.
off course here. We're bringing that back, consensus to bring it back with Steve Krug to talk about speed bumps the next meeting. All right. You got 5 minutes?
It might
and 1
not,
second.
excuse me, Mayor, just real quick, it might need to be 2 meetings from now because
Yeah.
next meeting usually only gives us like 3 or 4 days to put everything
All right,
together.
we got 5 minutes and 21 seconds.
All right. We have approved the execution of the agreement between Orange County and the city of Ocoee to install the light at Claricone Ocoee Road and Ingham Road. That was tonight, that was item number 8 on our consent agenda. So for those of you that are still wondering what's going on with that, that has been approved as of tonight in our consent agenda, which is, that is public record. You can always pull the agenda and take a look at that for yourselves. That's there. Update on Clark Road widening. I believe that we are still in the design phase. Is that correct? Design phase. So after the design phase, my question is, what happens after the design phase? What phase do we go into after that?
Well, typically what we would do in the design phase is we would go and we'd bid it out. We skipped that whole part of the process because we contracted with the developer up there and we've already got that money allocated. So as soon as the design is done, they will use their own contractor or the contractor they've used to do their improvements there in the future, and they'll go right to construction.
So, in the design phase, this is one of the things that I wanted to cover. There's 4 southbound left turn lanes. One should be Orchard Park, Prairie Lakes, Hackney Prairie, and Westchester. Once the design phase is done and we actually look at that, I just wanted to make sure for the record is that, but that's something that you might need to get back to me on to make sure that those are the southbound left turn lanes.
Are you saying they've said that those will be, are you talking deceleration lanes?
Well, yeah, the deceleration left turn
Okay.
lanes.
So are you saying you would like to see them there, or you know they're there and you want to make sure that
Well,
they're
I've had
there?
discussion before about this, but I just wanted some clarification to make sure that those were the 4 that's being covered in the design phase.
Okay.
So
So I can have Steve Krug contact you as far as that. Typically, when you get to around 60% plans, then you see where the deceleration lanes are and those types of things. And that's when you say, this is something we really want, this wasn't in there, this, you know. But I don't know that they're at 60%
But those are the calls I'm
plans yet.
getting concerning the
I
deceleration
understand.
lanes on southbound, as those 4. So if we can kind of get with Steve, and I just
Yep.
want to make sure that those are looked at in the design phase. And last, I just have one last question. What is the policy regarding employees that catch COVID as we move forward? As we move forward, will that policy that we had last year, will that policy be revised, or will it be extended, or are we just going to close that policy out?
So what you all authorized was until the end of the last fiscal year, which was till September 30th, for anybody who had not used the 80 hours. So it allowed up to 80 hours for everyone in the city one time. We have nothing right now except personal time off as of right now.
Answer that question. Perfect. All right, so before I turn it back over to the commission, my final quote is simply this: right is right even if no one is doing it. Wrong is wrong even when everyone is doing it. That was St. Augustine. So I'll repeat it one more time. Right is right even if no one is doing it. Wrong is wrong even if everyone is doing it. St. Augustine. I defer back to the diocese.
Commissioner Branson, I didn't forget you.
You got me now. First, let me start by asking the HRDB, are they part in the Pearl Harbor Day recognition? Commissioner Oliver, are you on the?
I'm sorry?
Are you on the HRDB?
Yes.
Human Relations and Diversity Board?
Yes.
Is the Human Relations and Diversity Board partnering to host the Pearl Harbor Day?
Well, Mr. Maury actually sits on the HRDB, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be making a recommendation before the board to participate in that ceremony.
Okay.
If we decide to have a ceremony for it. I'm hoping we will, though.
Okay, thank you. Starbucks is coming. Starbucks is coming. Starbucks is coming. For all of you who drink coffee, especially Starbucks, it is coming. Public shopping center, coming soon to a neighborhood near you. Just making sure you're aware. I know we talked about traffic. I'm gonna talk about traffic, but in a little different perspectives, because Ocoee Apopka Road and Fuller's Cross is been a thorn in most of our flesh for some time. It's now if you drive by there, you see more movement happening there. The project has started up again, which means Fuller's Cross is closed. The cross street is closed. So you're gonna have to give yourself more time to get where you're going if you use Fuller's Cross. But also, you have to be more careful and have more patience. Because even me coming here today, I met with some folks who did not know that Fuller's Cross was closed, and they was pulling up there trying to make a right-hand turn, and they could not. And I could see that they didn't know, so I'm making sure that everyone's aware that there's movement at Fuller's Cross and Ocoee Apopka. I know I've got a couple of emails as well as phone calls. Our initial completion date for Fuller's Cross was March 22nd of 2021, which is more than a couple of months ago. Then we had a completion date of August 12th, but now our new completion date is December 8th. of this year. So Fuller's Cross has got, it has some challenges. We had some construction challenges, some materials challenges, design challenging, engineering challenges. But I think we've addressed those as a city and as the county and with the design team over there. And hopefully, come December 8th, that road will be improved and we'll all be doing cartwheels, those of us who can, and those who can't just be getting pulled muscles. City Hall, if you've not visited our new City Hall, I would recommend you drive by there and see how it is moving right along. It is a wonderful sight to see. Again, that is a project, during COVID-19, the building materials and everything has been scarce. Workforce has been scarce, but our team here at the city, as well as the design team over there, has made some remarkable adjustments to their scheduling to get that project back on schedule, and we're going to hopefully have it open second quarter, fiscal quarter of this year, so maybe in March or so. Maybe. I didn't say we're opening in March, maybe in March. School again. School is in session still. Be patient. I mentioned about community policing. It takes a village. It really, 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 really does take a village, and I would encourage all the plank holders in the community, not just the parents, but also the folks in the churches, the folks in the community centers, friends, neighbors, family members, to be an active part in policing your own neighborhood as well. Talk to the folks in your neighborhood and let them know that they should be driving like their children live there. And if their children is driving like no one lives there, they need to talk to their children. Last thing I have is, I know the speed bumps and speed humps and those things. It's a tough one, but I think we're going to have to take a hard look at trying to do something to our roads to mitigate some of this speeding. It is something that I don't have the answer, otherwise I would bottle it, give it to Ocoee free, but I would sell it somewhere, because this is a problem that's global, but we need to address it. We have to address this problem. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right. The district and commission commences next week, Thursday, October the 14th, at 6:30 p.m. in City Hall. Parks and Recreation Department will hold its Spooktober, the Super Scary Haunting Experience, at the Jim Beach Rec Center on Friday, October the 22nd, and Saturday, October the 23rd, and Thursday, October the 28th, through Saturday, October the 30th, from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. For more information, call the Ocoee Parks and Recreation Department at 407-905-3180. All right, couple things. Up on, I know Steve's not here, Rob, and you need to put this down, or the police chief. We need a walkway across Lakewood Avenue at Montessori School. We have no walkway across for kids coming down. All the kids walk on the east side of Lakewood on the sidewalk to come down to go to that school. And there's no walkway.
Are you saying crosswalk, Mayor, or
Yes,
the actual?
crosswalk,
Okay.
crosswalk, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, crosswalk, I'm sorry.
All right.
You know, they put the little pole up with the light.
Yeah,
there.
so we're talking just the painting and the
Yes.
posts, or are we talking painting posts and
Well,
flashing lights? So,
Whichever way, I don't.
okay, the only reason I'm
Let
asking
me
is.
tell you, that's you talking about a dangerous road?
Oh, it's a big straightaway there,
Yeah,
too.
so they're speeding through there.
All right, so can we get some authorization for some
Yeah.
contingency then, if
Yeah.
we need that to do that?
Yeah, yeah, everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Is there sidewalks up to that point?
there's sidewalks on the east side.
I would say, just off the top of my head,
Yes.
maybe $5,000 in case we need to do some
Yeah.
We don't need-
crosswalk signs or something like
Are
that.
we to provide a school crossing guard?
We do
then?
there. They pay us,
They pay for the school crossing guard.
yeah. But you still got school crossing guards up here.
Huh?
You still got the walkway and the,
I just want,
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't been, I haven't been out there in a while except with the,
and I will say something, this is times we shouldn't be asked, I do it a lot, Rob knows I do, and I talk to Craig. When we have these questions, we should call you and ask you before we get to that. But when we're doing it tonight, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There's they're sitting up in that office, we all have their phone numbers. All you gotta do is call and ask for these things, and they can tell you exactly about the things you asked about.
So Mayor, can we get a consensus for $5,000 from, up to
Yeah.
$5,000 from
you
contingency if
got
we
3,
need to put flashing
4.
lights in? Okay. All right,
5, yep.
thank you.
The other is November the 20th, we have they want to put the car show on down and close the main drag down to the businesses who are going to have their displays outside, I guess. But they're going to have that car show that they put on every year. November the 20th. Downtown. We have it every year when they had the, they
Oh,
had
when
the
they
car-
said the
Can't hear.
was it the Rotary did it,
Yeah.
or with Steve Marbase?
Steve Marbase.
Yeah, okay.
They'll probably have 75 to 80 cars.
Okay, so to be proactive, because I don't know if anyone's come in and filled out a special event
No,
request.
But they wanted me to bring it up tonight.
Okay,
They'll
so-
fill out the paperwork.
Typically, the commission would have
That'll
to, so
work.
if you could take a vote on that, the commission would have to close the roadway.
No, I know, that's why I'm asking consensus now.
But do they have to do the permit first and then we close the roadway, or?
Well, they'll put a permit in. We got to put one in.
Well, you
for it.
could make a motion to actually approve it, providing that they submit a special event permit.
Yeah, same thing
That
they
would be
always
the
do.
best.
That a special permit that is approved, then we can close the
Correct.
road, just so that
Well,
they
that's
make
what
sure
we
they get
do.
that. I know, but
They do it on the same thing. We used to do it in November, but now they're going to do it November the 20th. So is it, we need to vote on it, or just,
Do I need to make a motion?
yeah, make the motion.
I make a motion that we approve the closing
November
of
20th.
the streets for the car show per approval of the permits.
I'll
McKee
second.
Street downtown.
don't
I'll
they-
second that.
Just
Motion.
McKee, Cumberland, they don't need Cumberland?
Just McKee Street. And Cumberland is the side.
And any other associated streets
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
necessary.
that's what I
So the motion made by Commissioner Brinson, seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Any more comments? Let's vote.
No problem.
Motion carries. All right, he's already brought it up, and I was gonna bring it up tonight, because Fuller's Crossroad, because I was told that mess is because of me. It was on, I don't read Facebook, my wife does sometimes to tell me some things, and my kids, but I will tell you, they told me that one, and I read it. It was my fault and the county's fault that we ain't got that done. So, just to let you know, I don't do asphalt work, and I don't do grading work. I don't have nothing to do with that. But I'll tell you what, we, as a commission, voted a couple years ago to spend $1,300,000 or $1,200,000 to fix it for the citizens of Ocoee. So I just want them to listen. If you want to print something, this is a good thing to print. We have no control over the weather. We have no control over the employees, that they're all, I talked to a gentleman today about something, he says, well, I don't have employees. So just to let all of us know, we all are hoping it's finished soon, because we know what an inconvenience it is on that main road. And I know Commissioner Brinson does, because he lives there. So it's not his fault, nobody up here on fault. We're trying to get this thing finished as fast as we can. So, I see it, I do know a lot of people, I know a lot of names, and I see them names. Some of them don't live in Ocoee. So, but I just want people to understand that we are trying good-heartedly to get that road finished and open. But it is problems that happen that we have no way we can do anything about it. So just to let you know, like Mr. Brinson said, the date's there, and let's hope and pray, keep your fingers crossed, that happens. So we're looking forward to that. And when it's done, there will be happy people. All of us will. So I think that's it. We'll meet again October the 19th. So that's it for tonight. Thanks, folks.